Have you ever looked out the window during a mountain road trip and felt like the entire landscape was one giant quilt stitched together by nature? Today, we're painting one of the Andes' most iconic animals, the gentle llama, surrounded by those breathtaking patchwork mountains that inspired these watercolor. Hello, and thank you for joining me. Today, we're continuing our Travel the World One Painting at a Time series, and our next destination takes us into the Andes Mountains of South America. We'll be painting one of my favorite animals, the curious and gentle llama. Let's begin with a simple sketch. I'm using a green watercolor pencil to lightly outline the llama, the mountains, and the patchwork farmland stretching across the hillsides. Notice how simple this drawing really is. Just a collection of gentle lines, soft curves, and a few basic shapes. You don't need an elaborate sketch to create a beautiful watercolor. Think of it simply as a roadmap that will disappear naturally once we begin painting. Now let's pick up a large brush and mix a very diluted yellow-green wash. We'll apply this light base layer across the llama's body. This first layer helps define our subject while also reserving space for the landscape around it. Once that's finished, let it dry completely before moving forward. One of watercolor's greatest strengths comes from patience. Allowing each layer to dry keeps your colors clean, transparent, and full of light. Now let's move into the background. This may actually be my favorite part of the painting. Using different shades of green, begin creating the patchwork feels that make the Andes so recognizable. Some parcels are lighter, others are darker. Some lean towards yellow-green, others toward blue-green. These fields aren't random. Each section often represents different crops or different family-owned farms. Growing up, during a trip through the Andes, I remember looking out the car window and becoming completely mesmerized by these colorful mountainsides. I find myself wondering what each parcel was growing. Maybe potatoes, maybe corn, perhaps quinoa. The cool mountain air, the scent of eucalyptus and pine, and the endless layers of green created moments that felt almost dreamlike. Then, of course, a giant truck or bus would pass by and instantly bring me back to reality. Those little moments are one of the reasons I love traveling so much. Every now and then, you're lucky enough to experience a few quiet seconds where you simply feel connected to nature. While the landscape dries, let's return to our llama. Using a diluted gray-green mixture, begin adding some soft shadows beneath the belly, around the ears, along the legs, and around the muzzle. These subtle values help create form without making the fur look heavy. Did you know llamas belong to a family called the South American camelids? Their closest relatives are alpacas, vicuñas, and guanacos. Although they may look similar, each has its own unique personality and purpose. Llamas are the largest of the group and have been used for thousands of years as dependable pack animals throughout the Andes. Alpacas are smaller and famous for producing incredibly soft fleece that's highly priced around the world. Vicuñas are the smallest wild camelids and produce one of the finest natural fibers on Earth. Their luxurious wool is so valuable, the animals are carefully protected throughout Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, and Argentina. Finally, there are the guanacos, hardy wild relatives that roam open grasslands and mountainous regions across much of South America. They're excellent runners and can reach impressive speeds when escaping predators. Now, switch to a smaller brush. Using slightly darker paint, carefully define the eyes, nostrils, and mouth. Tiny curved strokes around the outline begin suggesting fluffy wool rather than drawing every single hair. To reflect the colors of the surrounding landscape, I also add a few soft yellow-green glazes across the portions of the coat. Little touches like this help tie the subject naturally into its environment. Now let's continue strengthening our landscape. Using deeper greens, paint narrow lines separating the different fields. Many of these natural divisions represent rows of trees, hedges, or boundaries between neighboring farms. Add darker areas wherever the hills naturally fold or dip. Mountain landscapes are constantly changing. Clouds drift overhead. Sunlight moves across the slopes. Every few minutes, entirely new patterns of light and shadow appear. Capturing just a hint of that movement helps bring the paint to life. Watercolor rewards multiple transparent layers far more than one heavy application. Alternate between the landscape and the llama, allowing each section to dry before adding the next. Little by little, you'll notice the painting gaining depth, texture, and personality. Don't rush. Some of the most enjoyable moments happen while simply watching watercolor spread across wet paper. Every brushstroke teaches something new, and every painting becomes part of your artistic journey. If a color blooms unexpectedly or a brushstroke doesn't go exactly where you planned, don't worry. Those little surprises often become the most beautiful parts of watercolor. Simply soften the edge with a clean damp brush, lift excess pigment with a paper towel, or embrace the happy accident and keep moving forward. As we add our final details, take a moment and step back from your painting. Look at the balance between the colorful fields and the soft texture of the llama. Sometimes the final improvements are surprisingly small. Perhaps one extra shadow, a brighter highlight, a slightly darker eye. Tiny adjustments can make a huge difference. And just like that, our gentle llama now stands proudly among the colorful mountains of the Andes. Thank you so much for joining me on another watercolor adventure. If you're enjoying this series, I invite you to explore the entire Travel the World One Painting at a Time playlist, where each tutorial combines watercolor techniques with fascinating wildlife and beautiful destinations from around the globe. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe so you won't miss our next destination. Until next time, may you continue finding beauty in nature, inspiration in travel, and joy in every brushstroke. Happy painting!